long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, it was the R&B Show. Can you dig it? And now, those two guys that rule supreme, like a burrito supreme, or a nacho supreme, or even a chicken supreme. Here's Brett and Ricardo, or Ricardo and Brett.
You work real hard on those, don't you, Rosie? Trying to get all those things. And first off, those Supremes, I don't like, what do you call the sauce that's in that? The ranch or... No, sour cream.
Oh, that's
should
right.
never be on Mexican food.
Yeah,
I'm telling you this as a Mexican.
Yep.
Should never be on
Now listen to me.
It starts already.
I went to a local Mexican establishment celebrating my youngest 17th birthday on Monday, so happy birthday.
And how
to
was
him.
it?
It was good, and I'm not going to say which Mexican restaurant we went to, but we go there quite a bit.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. We'll go ahead.
It's excellent. Very, very good food, but I had a chicken chimichanga with refried beans, rice. It has got the guac, pico de gallo with it, and the little cheese sauce, and the little sour cream on there as well. And I'm telling you guys, you got to have sour cream.
I love the sour cream.
You got to have sour cream.
It's an American thing. You go down to Mexico in the inlands or any place, crema, they don't have that stuff. Okay, that's a completely American thing.
But I live in America.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But you're not really getting the authentic Mexican food. You're getting it Americanized is what you're getting.
Well, you know, maybe
the
folks on the other side of the border need to add a little sour cream in their lives.
No. The real stuff don't
maybe
need
all
that.
this political polarization would soften
Doesn't
with a
need
little
that,
sour cream.
Yeah, would just
I
always sit aghast
cream.
when I see the sour cream. Any next.
So you tell me if next time I go to this place, just say no sour cream, and then I'm really eating it.
Well, right, but in my opinion, I think they probably tamed it a little bit than what normally the Mexican food would be. Because if you go down to Mexico, and usually when I go, like in San Diego to the Baja California, really inland, like to Rosarito, Ensenada, they have like the real stuff that's right off the road. They don't have cream, stuff like that, man. You go in there, you get your tacos or whatever you're getting, whatever with Mexican style, or they don't have any cream. It ain't any cream, and they don't even. I'll tell you the story some other time, but one time my brother and I went down, and real long story short, he asked for the cream, and they just looked at him bewildered. What? Crema? Or, they had no idea what it was. You know what I mean? So, yeah, real Mexican food doesn't need sour cream. You don't need that.
And Carlos Munoz said that there's, on Facebook, there's only like one good Mexican restaurant in Appleton.
Ooh,
but he's not naming names. So.
Okay, well, I know my favorite one, but I won't name names.
Well,
either.
I'm going to say this, Carlos. It wasn't in Appleton where I went. Okay?
Oh, yeah, I know which one you go to. It's a good place. I've been there. I've been there a few times.
They've got a few restaurants, and actually going to move.
They're in Oshkosh now.
Really?
You know that? Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
But yeah,
getting hungry.
Yeah, I know, right? It's new time, and we're hungry here on the R&B Show, episode number 29 of the only podcast dedicated to high school sports in the Fox Valley. I'm your co-host, Ricardo Arguello. Sitting alongside with me is Brett Christopherson, both of USA Today Network Wisconsin. And don't forget about Jim Rosedick. Rosie's here, too. Master of Disaster. I keep forgetting all your names, actually, Rosie, but we'll stay with that one for a while.
Yeah, there's a list of them.
Yeah, exactly. But on the tap today, listen, most of our show is going to be centered around how the Associated Press All-State girls and boys teams were voted on, what we thought about that, because I was one of the 9 voters on those teams. And, we have some I guess, I don't want to say criticisms, but maybe some things that maybe we didn't agree with. Some thoughts on that. And we'll delve deep into it, and we'll dissect it, I guess, a little bit. And maybe give a little wrap-up to put a little bow tie then on our winter season here, Brett. Because it's already spring, and we have track meets going on. We had some softball going on. I know one of our photographers was just shooting that yesterday, or Monday, I should say.
It's been
so
a good spring. There's no snow up here in northeast Wisconsin. Usually there's still snow, and you think about the track athletes, they got out on the track early this year.
Yes, they did.
They're still running indoors, but they could be running some outdoors. Usually that doesn't start till April.
And I'm expecting some records then to be set if they progress like that.
No, you know what I'm expecting? 8-inch snowstorm like on April 4th.
Yeah,
you know it's coming.
Right.
You know it's coming, right? We've had this great spring, and then when the action really starts to heat up, that's when Mother Nature starts to play her little tricks she likes to do.
Yeah. You think we're done here? Not so fast.
Poor souls. Not like Carlos basking in the sun down in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it Pensacola or Sarasota?
No, Sarasota.
Sarasota.
we'll wrap up then with a look at our varsity roundtable. We're pretty excited about this. Winneconne girls soccer players, Maddie Young, Katie Friedrich. She'll be both of those players will be in, and we'll also have I think 10 players coming in, Brett, according to their coach.
Wow.
So Megan White, former Kimberly standout, who's coaching there for the Wolves. So excited to have them. Wolves were runners-up last year in D2.
I think it was D3, actually.
Oh, D3, yeah. You're right, Brett. Yeah. In D3. And they're ranked number 3 this
D3.
year. So, yeah, we're excited to have them on here, Brett. It's gonna be a good show because those girls have been asking to be on the show.
Good. I like that.
And from last spring, so we're happy to have them on. First spring athletes to be on the show.
They want to see the live chat or the host of the live chat. They don't
care about me.
They don't care about Ricardo.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, hey, let's
sit in the front so they can look back at.
And don't forget, Rosie, we're probably gonna need the mobile cam out.
Oh
here.
yeah.
But then we take a break next week from Roundtable.
Yes, we do.
We always take a week off around that transition time anyway.
Get it. You know, just kind of hold our breath. You know, kind of catch our breath. Well, maybe hold our breath, but yeah. But we will have our R&B Show podcast. So with special guest Mike Scherer will be on here next Wednesday because you'll be on vacation, my friend.
Yeah, I'll be out and about, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're mostly going to talk about next week is how we select our all area team. So that'll be interesting talking with Mike on that. And subject I guess that comes up. But for Brett, for our show this week, Associated Press All-State Girls Team, Associated Press All-State Boys Team. Let's start with the girls team, which was released last Friday. We voted on it last Tuesday. Sydney Roby of Milwaukee King, the Player of the Year. Coach Donarski of Aquinas, the Coach of the Year. This is where I had some. I guess I had a problem with Donarski being Coach of the Year. I put up Joe Russum, obviously, of Appleton North, and I'm incredibly biased, so please take that into account, as you might expect. But in my opinion, I thought his resume dwarfed what Donarski did with Aquinas. I know Aquinas was undefeated. That's adorable, but they're in D4, whilst Russum traversed the most rigorous schedule you could maybe even say in Division I. I know Kings was really, really tough too, and then to go out there and then annihilate, as a 4 seed, the 1 and 2 seed. I thought it was a no-brainer, but I guess not. The other voters didn't agree with me, and I guess that's where I take issue with.
Take us into one of those calls and
yeah.
how that works. And
okay, thank you.
I guess you're all sort of pleading your case.
Right. Now, in previous years, you may know this, Brett, we used to go down to the State Journal. All the 9 voters would convene, and we'd sit around a table, and we'd all kind of pitch our girls or our guys, and it'd go down through the teams, all that kind of stuff, and then do a Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. Obviously, with shrinking budgets, I guess you could say, we've kind of moved toward the conference calls, and one of the 9 voters, he kind of coordinates everything, and we're all on board. We all submit our nominations beforehand. We all give our little bios and all have like coaches' comments, things like that. After talking with coaches and things like that, and then from there we go right into the voting. We pitch our guy, or in this instance our girls, for the first team. There's a bunch of players on the first team. We got to pick 5 from those, and then those carry over to the second team. We got to pick 5 girls from the second team. More are added. More nominees are added for each second, third, and fourth team, and that's basically how it goes. A lot of it is, in no surprise here, there's politics here because some guys are really good at pushing their players and others are not, and some have more sway in influence and some do not. And I'm just going by this from experience, from doing this. I mean, I've been doing this, I want to say for at least 13, 14 years now, from my time with Fond du Lac, the Fond du Lac Reporter as well. So it's an interesting process, Brett. Most of the time it gets it right. Sometimes it doesn't get it right. That's always up for debate because when you're dealing with this many high-quality coaches and players, there's always going to be someone left off. But I know for the coaches aspect, I did expect Russum to get it. He didn't get it, which in the close vote there didn't surprise me because I remember I had issues with 2 years ago when Steve Jones barely got the Coach of the Year for the Associated Press, and I had an issue with some of our other voters who, for some reason, were voting for someone else, and then he goes and was second in the nation, runner-up in terms of Coach of the Year, which would have made us look very bad if we hadn't selected him as Coach of the Year. So I thought this was another situation like that with Russum, but again, I'm a homer and I have my biases, so that's political in a way too, Brett. But I know you were surprised too that Russum didn't get it, my friend, right?
Well, we were IMing each other throughout the voting process, and I thought I was providing strong arguments, and I'm sure you were relaying those as well. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, he should have gotten Coach of the Year. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. He played, he competed. His team was in the best conference in the state, the FVA. Two teams at the state tournament. A Hortonville team that pushed Beaver Dam tough in that Division II semifinal, state semifinal. A Beaver Dam team that many thought was the best. We all know that Appleton North is the best team in the state. And as you said, and don't forget about Kimberly too, and Appleton North. From that, well, even beyond, but we streamed that Kimberly game and then paying close attention to the two state games. They just chewed through their opponents. It wasn't even close. They were clearly the best team on the floor, and not only that, but Joe being a master motivator as well. No offense to Aquinas, a very good program. Athletically, they're always tough. Regardless of the sport, I have a lot of respect for.
But they're Division IV.
But they're Division IV, and they play in the Mississippi Valley. The Mississippi Valley isn't the Fox Valley Association. Let's put that out there right now. I think we all agree to that. You put North and Aquinas on the floor, I'm going to pick North to win that one 10 times out of 10.
Right.
So, and I think something else that needs to be considered when you look at Joe, high expectations.
Yeah.
They had been state participants the previous 2 seasons, state champions last season, and basically the entire team, sans Callie Pullman, coming back this year. So there was serious expectations for this group to repeat, target on their backs the entire season, and other than maybe just a small little hiccup, they answered the bell each time. And I know one of their losses was down in Florida. I
yes,
believe.
It was.
So I just think that his resume was second to none, and I'm frankly shocked and disappointed that he didn't get state coach of the year. I think that was a big oversight.
I agree,
and I think there are some folks on that committee that are a little too biased, maybe as to who they cover.
Well, I guess it bothered me more so because Russell had his team undefeated last year, remember? And then he loses Coach of the Year last year to the Howard's Grove, who beat Aquinas in that final. So then you have back-to-back Division IV coaches being Coach of the Year when the coach of the best team in the entire state, playing in the toughest division, just annihilates the teams that are in. He was a 4 seed. He comes in and gets those girls to just play at another level. Doesn't get Coach of the Year. I thought was just a joke. And some of the voters know that I'm very outspoken and things like that. So what I'm saying isn't really a surprise to them. But but that's on me, Brett. I didn't. You know what? Maybe I didn't give a good enough argument for Joe Russell, and for that I apologize, Joe. I thought I guess. The same thing happened with Steve Jones. I thought, okay, do I really need to mention that he has the nation's longest winning streak? I mean, this is all common knowledge, yet he still barely got that coach's award 2 years ago, which, again, irks me to this day that it would even come down to that. But, again, sometimes the bigger schools, things go against them in that way. They're seen as maybe having more resources in that way. Because in the boys' side, and we'll get to that in a second, the Bangor coach got was close to getting Coach of the Year in a very close vote with Weber from Oshkosh North. I found to be laughable in that way. I just couldn't believe it. We'll get to that in a second, but in terms of the Coaching of the Year, I thought they got it wrong. Player of the Year, they got it right. I thought Sydney Roby from King should have got it. And I know I say this because Haley Oskey got Miss Basketball, and I understand that, and that's a wonderful honor for her. But with Miss Basketball, I believe they don't have anybody other than seniors for that award. I have to double check that, right? And Sydney Roby's obviously a junior, so she'll be back next year. But I thought that was the right pick. I thought I had no problems with the starting 5 that had Sydney Levy and Haley Oskey on the team. So you look at Kari Brecky on second, Shea Frederick on third. So the Valley was well represented in that way because it was a very strong year for the Valley. Not surprising in that way. So
you look at Sydney Roby, 6'4", junior, a lot of Division I offers, Badgers among those teams. So she's the centerpiece player in the state of Wisconsin, and will be again coming up. But getting back to that Coach of the Year, and I think we need to be careful sometimes too. And we have some bias too, but I think we're pretty objective in looking at those things. However, I can see where you want to be careful and not always honor the Division I coaches and the Division I players. And I think Aquinas went undefeated, so that's not taking anything away from the Blue Goals and what they accomplished over there. But boy, to go through a minefield in the FVA. And don't even forget about Appleton West has some good young players. They pushed Appleton North in the game we streamed, Rosie, if you remember that. And then Appleton East beat Appleton North, and Appleton East had a good club too. So FVA is always just tough. Don't forget Nina. I know they struggle a little bit, but always under Andy Brunell plays great defense.
Right.
So there's not a lot of gimmies in that league. And then to as a 4 seed, right, Ricardo, as you said, just to absolutely destroy their opponents. Taking Arrowhead down in the 4 seed versus 1, it wasn't even a contest.
There was never a doubt, as you and I have talked about before, never a doubt in those 2 games.
I
North
thought,
wasn't winning those.
I thought he did a good job of taking the expectations and building to really the crescendo, which was the state tournament, and playing their best basketball. Get the hiccups out of the way, the bumps out of the way, and then be playing their best basketball at the end of the year. And as you know, he used different means to motivate, taking some slights he thought from the media. I'm sure a slight that he thought in getting the number 4 seed in the Division I tournament. So hats off to him, and they're going to be tough again next season because they have some good players coming back. Absolutely.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit over to the boys team, which was just released this Tuesday, Monday, late night online. Jordan McCabe, Kaukaunaa's outstanding point guard, named Player of the Year. Coach Weber of Oshkosh North, Coach of the Year, so that was a sweep for the Fox Valley Association. But a close vote for both, Brett. And again, let's break some of this down. For Jordan McCabe, this is how the voting went. It went Jordan McCabe. There's 9 voters, remember, from around the region in the state of Wisconsin. Jordan McCabe got 4 votes. Harrow from Whitnall got 3, and Halliburton got 2. Now, the fear going in, I know for me anyway, and we had talked about this, was that because Halliburton and McCabe, Halliburton winning the Gatorade, McCabe winning Mr. Basketball, that perhaps they're going to somehow hurt each other in
Cancel
this voting.
Out a little bit,
because then Harrow would somehow, and it almost came to fruition, Brett. Our fears almost came into fruition because I thought Mark Stewart did a good job of pumping his guy, Tyler Harrow. He brought up some good points with him, and that might have swayed some of the voters. But thankfully, the overall excellence of Jordan McCabe throughout the season, punctuated with that great, last 3 minutes or so in the state championship game, really kind of pushed him over the edge, and I'm sure him winning Mr. Basketball had something to do with that as well. But I thought Player of the Year was a close vote. We thought it'd be a close vote, Brett, and it turned out to be where Jordan actually got the award.
Not surprised. I think he deserved the Player of the Year award, and not surprised that it was a close vote. I'm just curious though, when you guys are sitting in these meetings, and you say a colleague like Mark Stewart, who we both have tremendous amount of respect for down at the Journal Sentinel, when they're pushing their guys or you're pushing your guys, are you coming into these meetings with an objective viewpoint, or are you saying, no, I got to push my guy because I cover him and he's got to win or she's got to win? I mean, how do you guys look at that?
Well, that's interesting you say that because, I can only give you an instance for the girls' team. Now, I came in, Sydney Levin, Haley Oski were first team members in my opinion. I pushed those girls. Now, I consider them for Player of the Year, but that's where your bias has to leave the room when you see a girl like Sydney Roby, and you're thinking to yourself, well, she is so, in my opinion, above them. No offense to Levy or Oski, but it got to be the point where, to me, it seemed like as great as those two players were, she was just a level higher, and she's not from my area, but I've seen her play. That's where you have to. That's where I guess maybe the biases have to be pushed to the side in that way. Because I could have made a case for either one of them. Mm-hmm. Oski got Miss Basketball, and Levy is the best player on the best team in the state, in my opinion. So you could have made a case for either one of them. But when you looked at the totality of it all, I just thought Roby, her overall game, and then King being one of the best teams in the state, kind of pushed her to that forefront. For the boys anyway. His outstanding finish to that final clinched it for me. I was on the fence, maybe Halliburton or McCabe. How do we do this? Yeah, I'll obviously nominate McCabe, but I really think the world of Halliburton. Obviously, Harrell's right there as well. But if Kaukauna had lost that final, I guess I would have nominated McCabe, but then I probably would have been pushed toward Halliburton maybe a little bit for the final. So there you have to kind of take, you got to be unbiased in that way.
Yeah, no, I think you have to enter that room or that conference call completely unbiased. Even though I sometimes wonder if it's true what the bias is. If there's I got to push my guy, I got to push him or her. But whatever, I guess that's just the nature of the beast, so to speak. But as far as Halliburton and McCabe, first of all, McCabe put together a moment at the end of that state tournament. We talked about this last year. That'll go down in history.
Right.
I mean, that will be a signature moment. You were there. I was there. You saw the Kohl Center crowd. And the reason why it was a signature moment has just as much to do with the hype that surrounded Jordan McCabe throughout his 4 years. As we heard our friend Mark Miller, the Wisconsin basketball yearbook editor, say, he hasn't seen a player create this type of hype and this type of buzz since Mickey Crow from the 70s. Mickey Crow, of course, the legendary gunner, still second leading scorer in state history. I think that's quite a statement.
It is.
Knowing that some of the Okies and the Peepers and the Deckers of the world that have come through. So when you add that and the finish going against a really, really talented Milwaukee Washington team, this wasn't just some team that was there. This was a very talented basketball team, and for McCabe to take him on and that shot, kind of that Stockton layup, the twisting layup where he flipped it over the Foster, 6'9" Foster, and his reach will go down in history as one of the great moments in that tournament. And the fact that Kaukauna ices it with the state title, so I think Jordan deserved it. I think Halliburton was next, and it goes back to Tyler Hero, a fantastic talent, a 2,000-point scorer, but he missed time this season. The other two players did not miss time, and they both took their teams to the state championship, and they both won state championships. Now, granted, there's pieces at play there that role players that certainly helped, and maybe Jordan and Tyrese had more help from their squads than what Tyler did down at Whitnall, but I just thought it was a two-person race, and a little surprised that actually Halliburton didn't finish second in the voting, and I wouldn't have had a problem if he finished it first because he's an excellent player,
right?
Dynamic player. I said he's like a little Giannis out there with his length and how he can stretch the floor and cause problems defensively that lead to offense and dunks. So I thought those were the two that were in the race for Mr. Basketball and the AP Player of the Year. So I think you guys got it right, giving it to certainly one of those two, Jordan or Tyrese.
Yeah, and I think what was great was we had Tyrese and Jordan on the show last week, Brett, and both of them don't even care. It's not a thing for them. They're not really all worked up about it. And Tyrese was very congratulatory, after the Mr. Basketball was named to Jordan. So, it's good to see that we're the ones, the old guys are the ones who are really caring about this maybe a little bit too much.
I wonder
if
that's completely true. But hey, they also have the rings and the gold balls now, as they said. We had all 3 gold balls up here last week with Sidney Levy as well, pointing above the locker here, pointing out their trophies. So that's what matters most, was the team championship. It's kind of funny when I think back to that show, though. I was talking to Rosie about this last week. Rosie, I know you agree that I thought Jordan seemed really loose, like it was done.
Yeah,
the weight was off of his shoulders now. He just seemed, he's always a good kid and everything, but he just seemed a little bit more relaxed and just kind of enjoying it a little bit. So it was kind of good to see maybe the veneer off a little bit. I'm sure he has to be a little guarded, and now high school's done and he can focus on Morgantown.
Yeah, and that was a one-of-a-kind show, by the way, last
fun.
week. That was a lot of fun. We went an hour. Remember that, Rosie?
Yep,
You were kind of helping us out with that, and it was a memorable show for sure on that. But Brett, to add on to this Associated Press All-State stuff, Plowman from Xavier was a third-teamer. Obviously, McCabe, a unanimous first-teamer. Him and Halliburton and Harrow, that's a no-brainer there. Plowman was a second-teamer last year, third-teamer this year, and unfortunately, obviously, their unfortunate ending there kind of. We didn't get the chance to see Hunter again at the state tournament, which kind of hurt his cause there.
Well, no doubt. I mean, it's. I mean, I think you would agree that there's a little truth to the fact that the honor does take into consideration the entire basketball season, and if you get your team to state and you have a big moment at state, a couple big games at state, you have a pretty good shot to get on the team. I know there was I saw a tweet out there criticizing the AP. Voting for not getting Chambi Lambert at least an honorable mention. Look, I would probably say that might have been a little bit of an oversight by you guys. Chambi's an awesome player.
It was discussed. I know, you got to respect the each voter has their own feelings on it, and I believe it was Mitchell Schneider. He was on the team, and I think was he also the player of the year in that conference. I'd have to double check that. I'm not sure if that was
a new Holstein.
Okay, well, either way, I think they went with the leading score of the Roncalli. And here's what I say about that in that respect, because listen, I did not put up anybody from Kaukauna up other than McCabe. Do I think Lambert is better than Eric Carl? No. So I mean, that's maybe what the voter is looking at. Where you're gonna have 2 Roncalli kids on there with only 1 Kaukauna kid. That doesn't really seem to make much sense there. Because in my opinion, that field is incredible when you look at all the players on there. And the criticisms are fine, but you always got to take it with a grain of salt because Lambert. As great of a player was, and he made the coaches team. That coaches team is, for lack of a better word, it's bloated. It's bloated. There's a lot of everyone and their mom makes that team. Okay, so you could make a case for a lot of players not being on the Associated Press team. Our team is lean and mean. There's always going to be discussion that way because we don't put everyone and their mom on the team. All right, and you can say same thing for the football team, which is double the amount of players that the Associated Press team is. There's always going to be arguments there because there's 100+ players who didn't make the AP team because the coach's team, puts everyone and the team manager on there. You know what I mean? So you're going to have that. I mean, it's not a big thing. I only take issue when it's with that person from the competing website who does that.
Yeah, you got a little snappy with that tweet.
It's ridiculous. It gets to be a little silly. When it's every year, it's the same thing with this guy. It's like, come on, man. And anyone go on my Twitter, who I'm talking about. But it's just, it's one of those things, Brett, where, they're trying to validate themselves, because the AP team has been around for a lot longer. It's like those old Coke commercials and Pepsi. You ever notice those old commercials from the 80s and 90s? Coke never has to, they never have to downgrade Pepsi because they're the little brother trying to catch up. You know what I'm saying?
Like Pepsi's McDonald's and Burger King.
Yeah, Pepsi always did that. They always ripped on Coke. They always did the choice of a new generation and the little taste test and stuff because they're trying to validate themselves. That's how I see this. We acknowledge with sports, do we not?
Well, I think that's a better analogy than our other friend talking about hot coffee. I'm not sure what that was all about, but whatever. That's a different story.
Well, but my point is that we validate them.
Yeah.
We ran a story on Mr. Basketball, and we do that every year. I want to say I have yet to see an AP story on their site. So they're very territorial. It's one thing if you're not running our stuff, then what are you complaining about? What do you care? You know what I mean? But we run their stuff.
And I have a lot of respect for those folks over there. They do great work. I'm on their site right now, and I can tell you that Ryan Steffes of New Holstein was the Player of the Year in the Eastern Wisconsin.
Okay.
So, but the Chomby was a unanimous first teamer, and so was Mitchell Schneider of Roncalli. So anyway, I just noticed that tweet out there.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
on that team.
Like I said, if it was a fan, if it was that's fine. You can go ahead and do it. But when from a competing website, who doesn't even put our stuff on their site, get out of here, man. Come on. How I feel about that.
You almost needed one of those buttons there, huh?
Yeah,
I wasn't going to do that. I didn't do that.
That car horn.
But don't talk about validity when you're not putting any of our stuff on your site. So, and we do that for you. Why? Because we don't see you as a threat.
That's funny because
it's a big brother with a little brother. We don't see you as a threat. We go ahead and run your stuff.
That's not on the script right now.
No,
he's going off on a tangent. He's getting angry right
now. Let's move on. To the wrap-up stuff because I'm actually excited about Varsity Roundtable with Winneconne soccer players Maddie Young, Katie Frederick. Brett, thank you for correcting me. In D3, they were the runner-up last year. They were kind of the surprise of the tournament. They kind of came out of nowhere the first time they had ever gone that far, and they had a great goalie last year. I don't know if you remember Katie Koshek. I'm trying to remember her last name, how to pronounce it. She was, I remember, I think I called her the Great Wall of Sadie because she did so many great things. She was 6'1". She blocked a whole bunch of shots. And, they made it to the state championship game, so congratulations to them. I want to say they lost to Catholic Memorial.
Yes.
Now they're ranked number 3 this year. They are excited, Brett, to be on the show. They have been asking me, I know they asked me late last year if that was going to be a possibility. I wanted to get them on. They're kicking off our spring season. We're all excited.
I like Winneconne.
I say this as an Omro grad.
That's right. You had the rivalry there with Omro and Winneconne. We've streamed some games there in years past. It's been a while, but we did a football game and some basketball, boys and girls. Always a nice setup, a nice community. The Fin and Feather is always a good place to go hang out and eat some grub, kind of like a supper club right there on the river. But good for them, good for Winneconne. Last year's run was almost reminiscent of the great football championship that Winneconne had. What was it, about 4 or 5?
Yeah, they were the Cinderellas that year.
I'm trying to think. No, that must have been in 2013 because I think that was my oldest senior year. Played in the same conference.
I want to say they played Platteville in a championship game.
But remember, they entered. What were they like? 4-5, I think,
Yes.
overall, and then they ended up going 9-5, won 5 games to win the state title.
They've set up precedent where anybody who enters the playoffs under 500 can still have a shot at winning that championship. You're not out of it.
Every now and then, Winneconne will come, and then they've had some good track, some good sprinters.
I remember that, sure.
Yeah, they'll come out there and compete and be tough. So this will be kind of fun. Plus, it's a multi-market show tonight, too. Winneconne covered by both Appleton Post Crescent and the Oshkosh Northwestern, kind of combined like Appleton does with Seymour and Green Bay and Seymour, and then Wrightstown is shared by Green Bay and Appleton. So it's nice to do a little multi-market show before we hit the 1 week hiatus and then come back strong for the spring season in 2 weeks.
Brett, did you have any updates on our award show on May 11th?
Yeah, well, I'm glad I have it written down. But May 11th is the Wisconsin High School Sports Award Show, Lambeau Field Atrium. I'm co-hosting. You're co-hosting, Ricardo. Rosie's going to be there, pushing the buttons as always. And one Aaron Rodgers is going to be our special guest, Green Bay Packers quarterback. You can get tickets right now through this website, sportsawards.wisconsinmedia.com. They're only $35 a piece, so buy those tickets. It's going to be a great show. I know Aaron, at least what I've been told, is really excited to interact with the kids. And there might be some like one-on-one with the kids too. We'll see how that plays out, how it's all scripted together. But he's very engaged and wants to do this. So that's half the battle right there.
Yeah. Exactly.
So again, sportsawards.wisconsinmedia.com. Purchase your tickets now, $35 a piece. They're going fast. And this Friday online in all of our 10 markets and Sunday in print in all 10 markets, we will be announcing the winter nominees. So we've got our fall nominees set, winter nominees set, and then I guess in a few weeks or so, the spring and premier awards, premier being boys athlete of the year, girls athlete of the year, and teams of the year, courage award, that sort of thing, will be set in stone as well. So really starting to dial up. May 11th is not that far away anymore, so planning is in place. And actually before we did this podcast, that's what I was doing, is getting all the winter nominees set. And I got to thank you and Mike Sherry. Mike, I know you're watching right now, listening in. Thanks for getting those in, because the deadline is fast approaching, so I'm going to be ahead of schedule on that. And but again, Friday online, all 10 sites, including postcrescent.com. Check out who our winter nominees are. We have 6 per sport, but only one can win the prize.
That's right.
We can't announce that. We'll announce that May 11th, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So that's coming up quick, like you said. I mean, May 11th, that's only 6 weeks away, basically, right? Oh, my goodness.
So, Mike and Ricardo, get busy on those spring nominees.
Yes.
I need those by the end of the week.
Yes, Mike has emailed us already on it, so we're good to go on that.
What I need you guys to do, and Mike, I know you're listening in again, is I need the emails now sent out to the ADs and coaches so that they can get RSVP information into the nominated athletes.
Brett does a great job. He coordinates all this stuff. He's the man behind the scenes.
Traffic cop.
Appreciate everything on that. But yeah, and we'll talk more with Mike Sherry, because he'll be here, Brendan, your spot next week when you're on vacation, and our special guest, Mike Sherry. And again, we'll talk about how we kind of put together the all area teams for the Post Crescent. I'm sure people are wondering how we do that as well. So that'll be a great show. And in your absence, Brett, so he'll try to hold the flame for you.
He'll not only hold it, but he'll probably bounce me out.
Okay, maybe that might be the case.
But the R&M show.
That's right. Until next week, thank you for listening to another episode of the R&B Podcast, episode number 29. We'll see you back here next week for episode number 30. Until then, have a great week, everybody.
You gonna throw one?
Yeah, I'll try one.
Do it. Let's go. Let's see.
I'm gonna do it with my left hand.
Ambidextrous.
Oh, way off.
Wow. Listen to this.
Dude, you got it down pat.
That was a little off target.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you hit the?
I hit the side of the lens.
Oh, okay. All right.
Close enough.
Good enough.